Welcome to the online classes, students. Good morning once again. Today I'm going to discuss the literary device used in the poem Amanda. It's in class 10. So first, what is literary device? Literary device is a device or weapon which the poet uses to emphasize a particular thought or notion. The first literary device used in the poem is anaphora, Anaphora, anaphora. Now, what is anaphora? Anaphora is a repeated use of a word at the start of two or more lines. So, in the first stanza, first two lines, we find the use of anaphora. The lines are: "Don't bite your nails, Amanda. Don't hunch your shoulders, Amanda." The use of don't, the word don't, is an example of anaphora. Number two is assonance. 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 Assonance is an example of a word which is vowel. The sound of the vowel, therefore, is repeated times again in a single line. Example of assonance is "Don't hunch your shoulder." We find this line in the stanza 1. So, don't, the letter O, your, the letter O, and the shoulder, the letter O. This sound of O or the letter or the vowel we find in the line as I told, "Don't hunch your shoulder." So repeated use of this vowel sound O we find in this line. That is why it's an example of assonance. Third figure of speech is metaphor. 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 Metaphor is called also a hidden simile. When two things are compared which are not similar in kind, then it becomes an example of metaphor. Here the comparison is implicit, means hidden. So the example of metaphor is: "There is a languid emerald sea." So in this line we find the sea is being compared with a stone. Emerald is a green stone. Since the color of the precious stone is green and the color of the sea is also green, so there is a similarity, but sea and stone are not different in kind. Therefore, it has become an example of metaphor. Also, another metaphor we'll find in this poem. The line is "Silence is golden." Now students have to describe why silence is golden is an example of metaphor. I already declared this line, "Silence is golden," is an example of metaphor, but why, that you have to describe. Number 4 figure of speech is repetition. 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 Repetition means use of particular words several times in different line. Example of repetition is the word Amanda, the name of the little girl Amanda, is used in different lines and several times. So the word Amanda is here an example of repetition. Next is an example of imagery. Imagery is a word which help us to create an image or picture in our mind. So example of imagery is drifting blissfully. Drifting blissfully, this phrase we find in the stanza 2. Drifting blissfully is an example of imagery. It's an example of visual imagery. This word drifting help us to create a picture in your mind in which you'll find Amanda is swimming softly upon the green sea and she is so much happy. Although we cannot visualize directly, but this word help us to create a picture of Amanda, who is drifting blissfully on the sea in our mind, that we can create this picture. Therefore, this phrase has become an example of imagery. Number 6 figure of speech is alliteration. Alliteration, already this figure of speech has been used in class 9 several times. Again, I'm saying alliteration is a use of same letter, and therefore the same sound has been repeated in a single line. So the example of alliteration is stop that slouching and sit up straight. We find this line in stanza 1. The line is again, stop that slouching and sit up straight. The sound saw coming from the letter S has been repeated time and again. Therefore, this sound in this line has become an example of alliteration. The final one is allusion. Allusion. Allusion is a word that we will find in the poem which help us to go back to a particular person or a particular tale story. So here we find the example of allusion in these two words, mermaid and Rapunzel. Mermaid and Rapunzel are the example of allusion. So these are the figure of speech that is used by the poet in the poem Amanda. So read the poem again and try to understand the use of figure of speech in the line. Thank you.